News Talk 1340 KROC-AM. Good morning, Rochester Today on a Friday, a candidates forum. This time, the candidates for Sheriff of Olmsted County, and with us in the studio this morning, Captain Kevin Torgerson, who is challenging Sheriff Dave Mueller for the position of Mayor of Olmsted County. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
Good to have you in the studio, and glad to have a chance for our audience to learn a little bit more about you and I guess why you want to be Sheriff of Olmsted County.
It's always good to be here because so many years I was a DARE guy, and we had DARE on the air.
Oh, yeah, I remember those days.
With Bob and Steve, and they were always at our DARE graduations. And so it's always, whenever I come to KROC Radio and hang out in the AM side here, it's always a lot of fun. So,
well, let's hope it's a fun day today then.
Yes. Oh, always. Yeah, it's never been that way. So,
well, I know you're out hitting the streets. And you're speaking wherever you have a chance to speak. But there are a lot of folks out there who don't know Kevin. Maybe introduce yourself to our audience and what's your background? Yeah,
I'd be happy to. My name is Kevin Torgerson. I'm currently the captain in the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office and Director of Homeland Security Emergency Management, mostly focused on the emergency management side, which involves a lot of activities with the community as a whole, not just the city of Rochester, but every community, our townships, and the like throughout the county. My background, a little bit further, I grew up on a dairy farm outside of Kenyon, Minnesota, so a southeast Minnesota boy from the beginning, and a dairy kid, so, did a lot of things related to the farm work, and we were talking off air beforehand, some of that, and kind of instilled a real strong work ethic in what I do and what brings me to where I am today.
So how do you get to the point you want to become sheriff?
Well, it's a combination of several things. My continuous service, and you look at the and kind of evaluate the pros and cons of anything like this, obviously, as you do with any big decisions in life. And one thing that I think that I feel, and it's been told to us by a lot of community members and citizens as well, is that the sheriff's office needs to have real strong law enforcement leadership. There's leadership in a lot of different ways, but law enforcement leadership, someone with continuous service, as I have for 28 years here with Olmsted County, 6 years prior to that, immediately prior to that with Hennepin County Sheriff's Office out of the Twin Cities. So all total, 34 years of continuous service in law enforcement. And all of that allowing me to work in every facet of the Sheriff's Office in law enforcement that's possible. I've been on patrol, worked in a jail facility. I've been a dispatcher, and then been a supervisor in most every other division in our office as well. So for the most part, I feel pretty comfortable in saying I know the office inside and out. And then the second piece is community service. I've been very involved in community as a whole throughout my time here in Olmsted County. We currently live in Stewartville. We lived initially here in Rochester for 6 years. Was involved with our kids at that time and continue involvement in Stewartville, as well as Rochester and the county as a whole. I mentioned being a DARE officer. There was no better opportunity for me than being a DARE officer, working in the Catholic schools as a teacher, as an instructor for the school system there, and then also working in Byron and Dover-Yoda school districts as well. So those folks that I've known for many, many years, as well as other citizens, community leaders, they asked me to run for sheriff of Olmsted County, and that's why I'm doing this.
I know one of the more highly publicized part of this race has been the endorsement by the local deputies association.
Sure.
Something that's never happened before. Why do you think that the association decided to endorse you?
Yeah, well, I think some of what I've already said. We need strong law enforcement leadership in Olmsted County at this time, and continuous service, understanding the department and having institutional knowledge from the very core of what our law enforcement community here in Olmsted County needs. There's great promise and potential that we have here in Olmsted County. Obviously, we talk about DMC is a big discussion. I'm sure you talked about that a lot with the mayor's candidates, as well as some others that you'll see and hear throughout the next couple of weeks. That's important to us too, and knowing and being a part of the community, being a leader in the community, being able to ask the tough questions that yeah, we can build big, nice buildings and skyways and more roads and things. That's important, and it affects law enforcement as well. But we have to be concerned about and thinking about the people as well, and how are we going to take care of the people? And that's law enforcement's first and number one responsibility, is keeping people safe, and safe in their own homes as well as while they're out and about. So being a voice from the community, having community relationships throughout every facet of our community is really important. Listening to them and then bringing that forward and saying, as the sheriff of Olmsted County, this is what I'm hearing from people, and this is what we need to be doing to keep them safe and looking forward as we build new roads and new buildings. There's other parts of it we have to be careful of. So the endorsement, very humbling, but also very encouraging. It's not every chance that you get 95 or a unanimous, in a sense, vote in favor of you to do something. I knew they were going to do something. I knew there was going to be an endorsement. I didn't, really have any idea of what it was going to turn out like. So their endorsement, their looking at the future in that way was very encouraging. It's great to have their support. And, it's been talked about there's internal issues or questions. They feel that I can answer those questions and move our department forward and not labor on the past at all.
All right. You kind of alluded to some of the opportunities and challenges that are facing our community.
Sure.
What do you see as the biggest issues and challenges facing the Olmsted County Sheriff's Department?
Yeah, I think it's really reconnecting with our community. The last few years, we've not had that. It's been a focus on what was determined 4 years ago as a platform. These are the things that must be done. But we've lost our connection to the community, and that's one of the comments that I've been getting from community members as we've gone around the county, talking to them in small meetings as well as public meetings. I'll go to a track meet or a cross-country meet or be at a football game, and people are asking me questions and saying, hey, what about this for the sheriff's office and what's going on here and there? They want us to be reconnected to them, and I don't have to make those connections. I already have them. And that's really encouraging for the public to know that they can call the sheriff and say, hey, Kevin, this is what's going on. I have a problem. I have a concern. And what can you do about it? And I've been doing that for a long time. I'm really happy to answer questions and really happy to face down any challenge.
So when you're out there speaking with groups and going to football games and fielding these questions, what kind of issues are you hearing about from the community?
Well, it's connected, connectedness. Initially, questions about, well, who is the sheriff? They shouldn't have a problem with that with me. Granted, there's people that don't know me, but I'm not going to be shy on that. I'm going to make sure people really understand what the sheriff's office is about and why it's important to them. We have mandates from the state that we take care of warrants. We have to house the folks that are in the detention center. There's great responsibility in that, and we really need to keep that connection to the community, letting them understand that we're taking care of that facet of our community, but we also need to reconnect with the victims of our community. Sometimes the victims get forgotten about. We get focused on putting this individual who's done wrong in jail or prison for a period of time, and the victim is somewhat forgotten about. I've always been very in tune to victims and listening to them and wanting to do what's best for them. I feel that we've lost some of that in recent times as well, and there's been an attempt that was started as a cross profession agreement called Parallel Justice. That was the idea is that the different disciplines involved with criminal justice would advocate more for victims and be more in touch with victims. And then it disappeared. And I feel the sheriff should be a voice in that and really stretching for that, because we are that link from the community into the system. we had a captain years ago who used to call us the gatekeepers to the criminal justice system. And in essence, law enforcement is. We open that door for people sometimes very unwilling to go into the justice system. But we also have a responsibility to take care of the victims, the folks that have been wronged by the evildoers, so to speak, in our community. And we need to really advocate more for them as well.
Now, you mentioned that program directed at the victims. Any other goals that you might have if you were to be elected?
Yeah. The one other real glaring goal is, and I've talked about this at almost every event we've had, and that is earlier this year we lost 34 years of experience in our chief deputy in Mark Darnell. Mark was a fantastic law enforcement officer all throughout his career, a canine officer, brought the canine program to Olmsted County in the city of Rochester. And when Mark retired, he gave the incumbent 6 weeks to make a decision. That 6 weeks is now stretched into nearly 9 months to rename or to name someone to be the chief deputy. The chief deputy in the sheriff's office, although it's an internal situation, does affect the community as a whole. The chief deputy is basically the business manager of the office, monitors policy, monitors discipline, internal investigations, the law enforcement side, the law enforcement operation, which deals with budgets, which is a huge community process. It's a $23 million sheriff's office we're talking about. This isn't something that you can just push one person aside and not have that person in that place for 9 months, as we currently have had here in Olmsted County. This chief deputy's position is a supervisor. He sets the tone for what the different divisions do and how the different divisions within the sheriff's office work together. To not have that person in place right now has left some things undone. And it's unfortunate that we've gone this long without some things being done as to where they are, where they need to be.
Any other areas that you see specifically needing addressing?
There's still some unanswered issues, I think, in regards to our detention center. There's been a lot of talk about well-being checks and that there was problems in the past and they've now been fixed. There's still more there. There's still more there to talk about. Morale is a huge issue for the office, both the inside and out. I think that's been well publicized, and I don't want to talk about it more. I have ideas. I'm a very positive, forward-thinking person, and I'm used to taking people from a situation where they're very, very uncomfortable and trying to make something good out of it. My leadership in the role of the commander of the Minnesota Law Enforcement Memorial Association Honor Guard is a prime example. To go and meet with a police chief in a metropolitan suburb or even St. Paul or Ramsey County, which I've done. So a large city, a large community, a large department in law enforcement in our state, and to come in and say, you've just had an officer killed in line of duty. Not only do we have to take care of that office, that department, but we have to also take care of the family and the community. And I've done that on repeated occasions, unfortunately. I really don't like to do it. But being able to bring people from that abyss, that dark place, and as we tell our honor guards, the honor guards and the officers that are working these ceremonies are the light that hopefully they can follow out of the dark tunnel. And we don't just work with them for those few days, but we work with them for months and years to come. Once they lose that officer, my relationships with officers and agencies around the state will continue. And I've been doing that job for 23 years on the Honor Guard. So, again, establishing relationships, working with people, helping them through issues and concerns that they have is really my number one focus.
All right. And we're almost out of time, so I'm going to give you the podium to kind of make your pitch for voters here in Olmsted County on why you should be sheriff.
Thanks, Andy. I really appreciate the time. Again, I just go back and kind of recap what I've talked about. It's this election is about law enforcement leadership, true law enforcement leadership, not law enforcement leadership that just accepts that, okay, I've put a program in place like the fitness program and said it's good. When 14% of the department 1 year and only individuals take the test the second year. That's not success. That's embarrassing to call that success and to put that as your number one accomplishment. It's really embarrassing. Granted, I want physical fitness. I'm a 25-time marathoner. I know what physical fitness is about and the dedication it takes to be in shape and to complete a task that you set out to do, albeit personal. It's about dedication and getting the job done. So it's experienced law enforcement leadership. It's community service, being involved in the community, not just when it's time to be in an election, but truly year-round, being involved in the community. And then finally, just values and vision. Check us out on the website. Our core values are very clear, and our vision is for the future, and not just for the Sheriff's Office, but Olmsted County and the communities we protect as a whole. So it's vision for the future there as well.
All right, Kevin Torgerson running for Olmsted County Sheriff on KROC-AM.